So His Holiness often jokes about being wisely selfish and how we can sort of, trick our mind to be selfish by being very altruistic to others. And so even though the self-centered thought is kind of engaged in that, we're still doing things with our mind and our thoughts and our actions that we're trying to be of great benefit to others as we're being wisely selfish. So that works for me, and I thought I would use this kind of logic with laziness, because basically I'm lazy. I've been lazy since beginningless time, and I know it's a problem, and there's only so much I can do about it with the capacity I have. So using the previous logic, I thought, well, okay, let's be wisely lazy. Why not? It's possible, and here's how it's possible. To be wisely lazy, I can think about rejoicing in the opportunities of others, rejoicing in their talents, their skills, opportunities. And in doing that, we've heard our teachers let us know that when we rejoice in others' good fortune, we get some merit. And later on, I'll share some merit math from Lama Zopa Rinpoche that I really love. But for now, let's take a look at this being wisely lazy. So Venerable Children has talked about what a wonderful practice it is to rejoice in others. I'm just going to quote her right now. And she says, you can see that when we rejoice, our mind is happy. And our mind is in a virtuous state. So you can then see how we're in a position to create merit. It's rather simple when you think about it. So it's advised that we rejoice in the merit of ourselves and others being all ordinary beings, but also in Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Arhats and all of those holy beings as well. And, the only thing that is limiting in this practice is our imagination and our understanding of what people do. That's the only thing that can really cut this short. So you can do endless long meditations. I've been meditating on this lately in the last few days, and I'm amazed at what you can come up with so easily, where we can see the goodness and the kindness and what others are doing and just rejoicing in their efforts to be of benefit. So I'll just give you some examples of what has been on my mind. So the obvious one today is everyone who has participated in the Nungne retreat. So there's guests here at the Abbey, there's the residents, and you've all created the causes and conditions to do this particular retreat. So that's fantastic. You've created a lot of merit, you've purified, and I, Lazy Samton, I am picking up on your merit, and I'm benefiting from that by saying this in this very BBC. So thank you so much. And then I'm always rejoicing in His Holiness and Venerable Children's series on the Library of Wisdom and Compassion. There's 10 volumes eventually, and this series of teachings will benefit countless numbers of people. Who knows for how long? Maybe as long as there's planet Earth, but then all of these beings that will go somewhere else to other planets, they'll take that wisdom with them, and it just will spread throughout the universe. So it's incredible what they are doing for us and all living beings who have the chance to, hear the teachings. I'm rejoicing in Venerable Sangye Kadro and Venerable Chodrak, who chose to come to the Abbey at the invitation of Venerable Children. And that invitation, I think, was extended for many, many years. And then the door opened for them to come here. And so we are benefiting from your example of how to be a monastic and what you've shared throughout the world. And again, with this practice, Venerable Children says it's not just rejoicing in the present moment, we can rejoice in what's happened in the past. So there's decades of sharing the Dharma that I can now benefit from, and I'm reaping even more benefit from that. We can rejoice in His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teachers and Venerable Children's and all of our spiritual teachers that go right back to the Buddha. And again, there's countless numbers of people who have invested their lives dedicated to studying the Dharma and practicing it and teaching it and sharing it. And again, when we're just thinking of that, we're creating so much merit in our own mind just by rejoicing in what they've done. And it's very interesting for me to think about those individuals who, right back to the time of the Buddha, had the skill and the capacity to listen to the teachings, repeat them in the way they were taught to repeat them, and then there was this oral transmission that went on for a long, long time before the Dharma was ever written down. And people have concluded that the oral transmission is actually more accurate than the written one, because there's so many more possibilities for mistakes to happen with the scribes, chipping away in wood blocks or whatever has happened. Even now with a computer, there's mistakes that are made. But with this oral transmission that happened, they were trained from the time they were very little kids, learning the rhythm of these teachings, memorizing them, saying them back to each other. And it's thought that these were very, very accurate transmissions. So again, I'm rejoicing all those people. I don't know who they are. There's countless numbers of people, nameless. And when we think about their efforts, we're creating more merit in our own mind. So here's the math that I love, and this really inspires me. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche has said that by rejoicing in the merit that one bodhisattva accumulates in one day, so I just have to think of one bodhisattva, I don't even have to know his or her name, in one day, you gain half that much in 1 second. The equivalent of 13,000 years of merit in 1 second. So just think about what you can accumulate in a half an hour if you're just thinking about a bodhisattva doing all of these fantastic deeds. So I'm lazy. I'm going to just keep doing this kind of practice. For example, you just keep thinking of more topics on the cushion and really drilling into it and doing some research. Doctors Without Borders. I'm so inspired by these people. And this was an organization was founded in 1971 in France by a group of doctors and journalists in the wake of the war and famine in Biafra, Nigeria. And at that time, their aim was to establish an independent organization that focused on delivering emergency medical and humanitarian aid quickly, effectively, and impartially. So that organization is still going. It's grown in numbers across many countries in the world. Thinking about what they're doing, many of them right now are risking their lives. They're in war zones, they're in places where there's extreme famine, extreme danger, and yet these people are choosing to do this, creating tremendous virtue. So Venerable Chödrön reminds us that it's really helpful to get in touch with this kind of thinking, this rejoicing, because it really reminds us about how much goodness there is in the world. And if you open any newspaper online, wow, it's just a downspin. It's just so discouraging. And so, close that app, close up the New York Times app for a while, and just think about what people are doing that is benefiting others. And then she says, when we rejoice in the virtue of people like His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all the other realized teachers, then this gives us the kind of direction that we want to go in our practice. That's definitely the direction I want to go. So I'm lazy, I'm doing what I can, and there's something to do about it. There's something that we can do about it. So let's do that.